Alright, today we are going to learn 11 different ways to say thank you. So you can add a little bit of variety and fun to your English and feel a little bit more like a native speaker if that is your goal. So let's get started. The very first one, I'm sure you've heard this before, is there's a shortening of thank you to thanks. And we natives say this all the time. I forgot to turn off the here. You can use it in virtually any situation with formal in your job or with your friends, but maybe you want to take it a little bit further. So we actually have some things that we can add on it. For example, thanks so much or thanks very much. But if you want to say something even more like an American, you could say thanks a bunch. And if you're really thankful, another term that we might use it, I can't thank you enough. And that means that you really don't have any way to give them enough thanks for this thing that they did for you. And it could sound a little bit exaggerated at times, but when you find yourself in a situation when saying thank you isn't enough, that can be a really great alternative. All right, and let's move on. The next one will be cheers. Maybe you've heard this before. It's not so common in the United States. It's much more common for Brits and Australians, for example, but I find myself using this a lot. It's probably because I've spent a lot of time with British and Australian people, but you might want to also add that to your vocabulary, especially if you're going to one of those countries. And the next one, which you can use in similar way to thanks or cheers, is I appreciate it. And to give you an example, if someone does you a favor, or if someone hands you something at work that you asked them for, you could say, thanks so much, I really appreciate it. Or I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And very similarly to this, one that I really like to say is, I'm grateful for that, or I'm grateful for it. And obviously this comes from gratitude. It's super appropriate right now, being that is Thanksgiving, because the traditional we have in the United States is that during the big feast of Thanksgiving, we might go around the table before eating, and each person will say something that they're really grateful for this year. So you could say, for example, I'm really grateful that my family, myself, and my good friends are all healthy and living good lives. And another thing we can add on to this that just takes to a much higher level of gratitude is saying, I'm eternally grateful. Eternally means forever. So it means that for my entire life, for all time, I will be grateful for what you did. So obviously you will want to say this one for something that is really special. All right, and another kind of similar one is that if someone does something very nice for you, you can say it means a lot to me. And basically what they're saying is that this thing they did for you, or the thing that they give you, has a great significance to you. So for example, if someone gave you a present that was very well thought out, you might say, it means a lot to me that you went for the effort to do that for me. Obviously, this would have a little bit higher degree than just saying thanks or cheers. All right, and the next two are also quite similar. One that we use all the time is, that was very kind of you, which means that it was nice of this person to do this thing. So that was very kind of, you. And then on a similar note, we can add other adjectives here. So we could say it was great of you, it was awesome of you, or one of the most common ones with this is to say it was very thoughtful of you. So similarly to how I said when you used, it means a lot to me. You could say it was very thoughtful of you to get me this tremendous present. Maybe someone really looked all over for something that you have been searching for, or they actually made you something by hand that was very thoughtful, meaning that they thought a lot about the present that they were going to get you or the thing that they did for you. So with the holidays coming up, this might be one that you'll find handy. All right, maybe you want some other ones that you can use with friends or your workmate. You could say to someone when they do something that you're thankful for, you're the best, or you're awesome, or you're great. All these could be kind of similar ways of saying thank you in a bit of a different way. So obviously that means when you say you're the best, you're just saying that you are my favorite person. You are the best person because you did this for me. I use that one a lot when someone does me a big favor or gets me some really great advice. I say, you're the best. I don't know how I could gotten through the problem without your help. And the next one, which is also one that we use very commonly when someone gives you something or helps you out with something is, oh, you shouldn't have, which means that you're saying that I'm really thankful that you did this thing, but you didn't even have to do it. That's how grateful I am. So you might have a similar way of saying this in your language, and it's another one that you can use quite often. It's a little bit more degree of things than just saying thanks or cheers or I appreciate that. It's saying, oh, you shouldn't have. So taking it even a degree further. If someone does something so fantastic for you, that it leaves you speechless. You can't even think of the words to thank this person. Then you can say exactly that, I don't know what to say. And then now the last one, the 11th one, even though maybe I've said more that 11 at this point is, I owe you one. Now I could use this a lot with friends. You could also do it with like a workmate, probably not so much your boss though, because basically when you say I owe you one, it means that you have a debt to that person. So for example, if someone gives you money, but they expect for you to pay that money back at a later time, you could owe them. So what we're saying that I'm thankful that you did this for me, and at some point in the future I will have to repay this thing that you did for me. Although sometimes we kind of use this figuratively. It doesn't literally mean that you have a debt to this person, that you have to do them some favor in the future, but it can be a nice way of showing appreciation that we natives often use to say thank you in a colloquial way. All right, and the best way to remember new vocabulary is to use it. So if you want to practice these and you're enjoying this lesson, you could say thanks. Tell me down in the comments below using one of these new expressions that you used. All right, I'll look forward to reading them and I'll even create some of your examples.